Welcome to the Dawg and Gus Show, now on Feel It Radio.
Are you getting tired of saying that yet?
I am. It's been a long day.
What's up, Dawg?
Not much, you?
Guys? We got another wonderful guest with us today.
Yeah, I'm pretty excited.
Montreal Based.
Yes.
Based. Yeah, it's Yester Daze. How are you guys doing?
Good. How are you guys doing?
Good. Thanks for coming. We got Zach and Brandon here, so excited to have you both.
Matt and Brandon.
And we're done.
You know what? You can blame. Do you play guitar, Matt?
Sorry?
Or is Matt the guitarist?
No, he's the drummer.
I'm the drummer.
We had the wrong names. I apologize. That we can. Okay. I'm going to blame Natasha for that one, but appreciate. Yeah. My apologies. We're off to a great start. Again, thank you for coming, Montreal-based band. So, where in Montreal are you based out of?
It depends. Everybody's in a different spot. Well, Brendan and I are in the West Island.
Yeah.
But Zach no longer lives in Montreal. Zach lives in Joliette now, but he was in Dorval, which is also the West Island previously, and then he was also just off the island in Vaudreuil before that, I think, or somewhere out there.
Yeah.
And then we also have Marco in the band, and he lives in Valleyfield, which is also east of Montreal, close to the Ontario border, but along the kind of like the 401, where the 401 meets the 20 in Quebec. There, he's around there.
Oh yeah, okay, yeah, that's pretty far east actually.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, that's nice. So how does that work? Do you guys sort of meet up, or do you do a lot of stuff separately, or is it just sort of, how does that go?
Yeah. So like before, when we were all living in the same general area, we would just meet here at Matt's place and kind of jam and write. Now it doesn't really work that way. We kind of meet usually at Marco's. Just because even though he's in Valleyfield, he has a way better studio setup than we had before. It was very DIY before. So it really it's way more convenient. And it's not that far, honestly. For us, it's like another 20 minutes. For Zach, it's far, but like everything's far for Zach now. So like,
yeah,
not much we can do about it at that point. It's kind of what he kind of took on when he moved. But he's cool with it. So
very cool.
Okay, boys, where'd the name come from? Is it like an homage to the Beatles?
Oh, you were dying to ask that.
I was.
Yeah, fair enough.
It's funny because that's the question I get the most. Like every time I kind of mention the band to anyone, that's the first thing they're like, "Oh, like a Beatles tribute band," and I was like, "Well, no, not quite." Because if you listen to us, we're like not anywhere near that kind of sound.
No, no.
I don't like Beatles. I love the Beatles, but funny enough, it was Matt who kind of came up with a version of the name first. When we were like switching from, because it used to be like my name and then they kind of were like my backing band, but we kind of stopped doing that for a while and we're just trying to find a band name so we can go forward that way. And we were throwing names back and forth and Matt kind of pitched a name.
What was it? Yesterday's Mirage?
Yeah, something like that. And I was like, good call, but we're going to cut half of that out. So,
yeah. And
then I made it kind of edgier by making it 2 words and then DAZE. So super edgy.
Yeah. No, it kind of suits the sound. Like once you hear a few of your songs, you're kind of like, okay, they do have a bit of edge to them.
They do, just a little bit.
Yeah, like, so you formed in 2018, and then how's that been? Like, are you trying to put together a full EP, or have you just been releasing singles, and that's kind of the go-to right now?
Yeah, I mean, like right now, we're always writing in a way, and unfortunately, like as much as we would like to do an album, it's not that we don't have enough material. It's more a matter of like we don't want to just release an album and have like no one hear it. So we're kind of building off the fact of like today's generation is very ADHD and likes singles and then kind of back to back or an EP, which is something that's easy to digest. Because even nowadays, most albums now they're getting shorter and shorter. It's like 10 songs or half an hour total. Because that's just what people like do now. They usually either tune out halfway or they just can't listen to anything more than that. So for us, it just works really well to have an EP. Plus these songs that we kind of have been working on just fit well together. So we're still going to drop stuff like single by single. We're not sure, what the final plan is, but in time we'll see.
Yeah,
no, makes sense. Yeah, that is the kind of the norm now. I mean, obviously, I come from a time as those Dawg that we used to listen to whole albums, and they kind of went together. Every song went with the next song, and not to say that yours don't. I mean, I find that you kind of have a good flow, and they play off each other if you list them in order, right? The way I kind of listed them, and but anyways, it is the way it is. Unfortunately, that's unfortunately or fortunately, depends on how you look at it. I think that it's important that you listen to music no matter how it is, but if it's not on one album, you can listen to a bunch of different songs, right?
Yeah. Don't really have a choice, do I?
No. So we listened to Going Nowhere. That's the latest release. Could you tell us about that song? Like, where did the theme come from? Where do you kind of, where's the vocals, where do those come from?
I'll let you start it.
Like you're better at answering this question.
Okay, then I will take it.
But it's like it's been around for a while. We've had it. Have you had it since 2018?
Yeah, so the actual instrumental has been around since like 2018, 2019 max. We even did like a first draft in the studio around the same time we did Yours to Follow, our first EP. And it didn't get finished because COVID hit. So we're like, well, we'll just release these 4 songs as is, and then this will be, back burner. And
yeah. Well, like the drums that are in this song were recorded before COVID.
Yeah.
Everything else we did after COVID. I think we had recorded everything prior to it, but they wanted to redo their guitar tracks, bass tracks, just to, I don't know, liven up the sound a bit more. We had, I don't know what it was. You had a different kind of tone or something like that going.
Yeah, so the first EP is mostly in standard tuning. I don't know how much technical we want to go into this, but so it was cool at the time when we did it, but I was shredding my voice because I just was horrible technique and the usual punk spiel of just yelling. And then finally started toying around with just playing half a step down in E flat tuning, and it just sounded bigger already as is. Because at that point we were still a 3-piece, so just going to half a step down tuning, it sounded massive, and so because of that we retracked guitars because everything was already tuned to standard. So we redid that. Plus, our ears got so much better over the pandemic in terms of amp sounds and what we want to play on guitar and stuff like that. Versus when we first did it, it was our first EP, right? So it would have fit more the first EP if we recorded it that way, but going back to studio with fresh ears and I got into so many different bands throughout the pandemic that it completely changed everything. And we obsess a lot over tone in the studio, to a stupid amount. Every day, when we have to do guitars, most of the time we're aiming to do 2 songs, but it's usually just one that gets done because we're just literally blaring our ears trying to get it perfect. And then once it's good, it's good. But our producer puts up with it, and it always goes really well.
Great guy.
Yeah, great guy. Shout out to Matt Nosets.
I was going to ask. Yeah, that's great. Yeah. Do you find that during the pandemic, like you were mentioning, that you sort of honed in on your sound and you were kind of tweaking it a lot? Did you learn a lot in that time, and that really helped you kind of push forward to the next stage?
I personally would say so. I know the bands I was listening to when we were first starting were completely different to the bands I was listening to during the pandemic and kind of as we were getting out of it. Which was good in a way because I was super angsty and punk when we first started, and that was kind of the energy we were going for. But later on, I struggle with mental illness, and that's something that's very prominent in the kind of newer material we've been working on. So Going Nowhere touches a lot on that, and my suicide attempt, which we don't have to go into too much details about, but that is something that I chose to write about. So lyrically, this song, Matt knows for a while, I didn't know what I wanted to write about because everything we were trying didn't work, and I was just hating the song so much. And the chorus was the only thing that was there, which is good because that's usually the hardest thing to get is a decent hook, So that was something I was struggling with. And after my attempt, I went on a road trip alone across Canada, which Matt was laughing at me for because I drove all alone from here, and my plan was to hit Banff or BC in 2 weeks, which I failed so hard. There's so many things that went wrong on that trip. But that's where the hook at the end of the song of "There's Nothing Wrong with Going Nowhere" came from, because my dad kind of spoke to me when I decided to turn back and head to Montreal, and he was kind of just saying you have nothing to prove to anyone, and there's nothing wrong with not necessarily going nowhere, but he's there's nothing wrong with doing what makes you happy and doing whatever feels right to you. Don't do anything for anyone else, just do it for you. So on the way home, I was like humming it, and I was like, And I was like, there's nothing wrong with going nowhere. And I was like, damn, that's a good ending. But I had nothing else for the rest of the song. So on the way back, I kind of started dabbling with lyrics. And then one night I asked Matt, I'm like, all right, what does the song mean to you? And then kind of that's when it was still pandemic-esque. So he was the one who mentioned it to me.
I don't even remember what I said.
You were just saying the song sounds very hopeful and very like to you, and makes you feel like there's a lot more out there. So I was like, perfect. Okay. So I kind of ran with that. And
Oh yeah, I vaguely I remember now.
and so because I was having a breakdown, and I texted Matt being like, I can't finish the song, and it's the only song that was like left at that point. So I was struggling really hard, and then I was like, okay, I took a poetry class once. Let's try to use metaphors. So that's why there's the whole like pen in hand, digging my own grave, because that's like a callback to an Irish poet who mentioned that he was like digging, but with his pen in a way. So the first verse is meant to be like a suicide kind of letter, if you will. And I got super into Jeff Buckley during the pandemic as well.
Oh my god!
So that's why there's the line of "This is our last goodbye," because it's a kind of a, hey, I listened to him, so it worked really well, and everything flowed once I got what Matt thought of the song, and kind of it reassured me that like, okay, so I think I could do this kind of thing. So, yeah, the song is very personal to me just because it really deals with a lot of my mental illness and being okay with doing nothing or going nowhere. Because, a lot of the time we feel like, oh, we should be doing more and this and that and, circumstances and, oh, my God, the world's against me. But it's kind of, like, screw it, finding comfort and be like, all right, this is where I am. So be it.
Well, thank you for sharing that.
Yeah, seriously.
Sorry for rambling.
It's, no.
Not at all.
It's a beautiful story. I mean, where it went I think what your dad said was like resonates with me as well. There's mental illness in my family, not personally, but I know that it's important to hear the right things at the right time, and I think that was a good thing to hear for where you were in your life, I think.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So yeah, thank you for sharing that. It's awesome.
No
Yeah, it's pretty. I don't know what to say to that after that. I don't know what to say. Anyway, I'm going to kind of go into your. You guys call yourselves like you're punk based, right? Where stadium rock meets underground punk.
Yeah. So I would say it's more like when we first started, it was more of the underground punk thing because like I was super into like My Chemical Romance, and so like I was running off that kind of energy. But then like the stadium rock thing's always been a thing because like one of our biggest influences is Foo Fighters and some other alternative rock kind of like giants like that. So it's kind of that thing where it's like the songs
small
are
band,
catchy.
pretty small band.
Yeah, pretty small band.
Up and coming.
Yeah, they'll do good things. They'll do good things.
I think they got a future.
Yeah, well, we kind of looked through some of your bands here. We kind of took them off your Instagram site, like the Foo Fighters, Muse. These are great bands. Like, but the one that stuck out for me because I love them a lot too is the Pretty Reckless.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah.
I'm a huge fan of them.
A lot of people don't give enough credit to.
Yeah, I think so too.
I'm a big My Chemical Romance fan too, and Royal Blood I love too. So the comparisons are cool.
Yep.
And I think it's interesting that you went into Jeff Buckley because like I love Jeff. Like not a lot of people like love him. Like I love Jeff Buckley. His Hallelujah version.
That's a decent version of that song for sure.
Decent, yeah. From a good Montreal artist who wrote it, right? Like so, one of the greatest.
I'm sorry, I shouldn't have said decent. That's probably the best cover ever.
Cover, yes.
Yeah.
He made it his own.
I know, and so did the other 100,000 people who did it.
It's a great song.
It is a very good song.
It's like almost like a poet. It is a poem. It is a poem like Hallelujah. So yeah. Anyways, cool. We went off tangent there, eh?
It's our show.
We were asking. That's true. Yeah, it is our show. Very good. Excellent. So you're sort of, we were getting into that. You're changing from your underground punk sort of feel to what would you say now? Just more into the more rock and roll side?
It still meets like, I'd still say there's that kind of halfway point because like, especially our shows is really where you get to see that kind of thing because, there's stuff that feels like a stadium rock band, but obviously the energy and stuff is still very much like a punk band, if you will. Like we're not causing, incidents at our shows or like jumping into the crowds and like doing dumb shit. It's really more just like the energy is very much like raw and like imperfection is okay kind of thing. Whereas the stadium rock thing is more like, even though imperfection's okay, there's clearly, a kind of plan to our show in a way. And like,
yeah, it's to an extent, like it's set up or it's orchestrated. It's not planned, but like there's a good balance of like having things planned out and kind of going with the flow. It's not just all like screw it, let's see how this goes.
Yeah, exactly. Which we used
Well,
to.
that would be punk right there, right?
That's punk. That's punk right there. Yeah.
The punk is like, fuck you if you don't like it. I'm just going to do this anyway.
Yeah.
Exactly,
Exactly.
There's a good middle ground.
Yeah, exactly. Like we really like messing. Or at least I personally like messing with the crowd a lot, like in a good way, like kind of getting them involved. I don't know. I find personally when you go to a show, and especially when it's smaller artists, and you feel like you're a part of the show, it really takes it to the next level. So that's something like I know we've gotten credit for. Like after some shows we played this summer, we had a lot of people be like that was insane. Like I've never heard of you, but the fact that you guys were able to like get the crowd on your side as an opener is like wild. So that was pretty cool to me, at least. You know, my ego felt great after that.
Yeah. Did you get a lot of energy from the band, like the fans? Is that like the people that were at the show? Is that where did you feel like? Do you get a lot of energy from whenever you have a crowd sort of feeling it as well?
It definitely helps. Like I know, like one thing that was really cool recently. So we did like a highlight, kind of like our year on like a TikTok kind of thing, and I saw a clip that I'd never seen before of Matt like smiling at our Elmo combo show we played last year, and that was an incredible experience. Like that's probably hands down still like my favorite show we've played.
Yeah, that was fun.
Just everything about the experience was so good, and like it's such a legendary venue in Toronto. So like it was really cool to get to play it. But that's one thing for me personally as a frontman is I really like when the crowd is giving to you because you're like, okay, well then perfect, and you give it right back. So seeing that even Matt, who like he's pretty like he's great and like he enjoys what he does, but he's pretty straight when he plays. Like it takes a lot to get him to like kind of open up sometimes. So it was really cool that like even seeing him kind of not necessarily break character, but like even him kind of like having the fuck yeah, like holy shit, look at this like kind of thing happening. So,
well, I think that's so important. I mean, you're like at the Elma combo. I mean, like take a second, bro. Just because I messed up your name at the beginning,
Yeah, it's okay. It happens, dude.
Kidding.
Well, we find that a lot too. Like when we're talking to the two of you, and like Matt seems very. Hey, how you doing? And you get on stage and you get the same persona, but you get some guys that are just like very, very docile. We'll say while talking to them, and they get on stage and they turn into Taz, like they're the Tasmanian devil up there, and it's incredible to watch the transformation. And then they come off stage when they're done. Hey dude, how you doing? Like,
yeah, you're like,
no, you can't talk to me like that after just blowing our minds with this shit. Yeah. And then you got to come off the stage and go, hi, it's very nice to meet you.
Right, you're like animal on stage.
Yeah, seriously.
And you're Kermit
the Frog here.
Kermit. Yeah. I think everybody has a Kermit, right?
Yeah.
Kermit the Frog. That's half of our studio sessions are us doing like impressions with our producer.
Oh my god!
That's the vocal warm-ups is just doing impressions. So
nice,
good. What's your best impression?
Oh geez.
What's his name from Family Guy, the policeman?
Oh, Joe. Yeah, but Joe, I could just say the "Hey Peter" line. I can't speak otherwise. It's hard to get into the "Hey Peter, how's it going? Hey Peter, how's it going?" It's like you gotta get it in the right spot. But I got good at doing like vocal impressions for a bit. Like I used to do a really good Matt Bellamy. I think I did
my god!
Because Matt can't sing at all, so sometimes he'll try to sing like a song like "Supremacy," and that song has a really high falsetto.
Yeah.
Funniest thing. So like sometimes as like a vocal warm up, it's doing like a Matt Bellamy impression to like open because he sings from every part of his voice, like from stomach to like all the way in his head, kind of thing. So sometimes I'll do that kind of thing to just mess around, but it actually works really well. So
that's funny. That's awesome.
It's good for vocal warm-ups.
Yeah, vocal warm-ups, man. Yeah. Do you know the guy that does the voice of the police officer? He's from. You ever watch Seinfeld? No.
Of course, yeah, we love Seinfeld.
Yeah, so he's Putty. You know that, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, he's been around for a while.
Yeah. He's great.
Yeah. What's your? Yeah. Do you do any impressions?
Yeah. Do you guys?
I've got me personally. Yeah, I've got a few.
Okay. Not for vocal warm-ups, though.
No, I can do Kermit really well, and then I have like I do one like I do. It's bad though. It was filmed in Montreal, and it was the score, and it was Ed Norton playing like when he's mentally challenged, and I do the "Okay, Danny" thing really well, but I'm not going to do it here.
Good. That's probably a good decision.
Yeah, I'll do it after. I'll do it for these guys after.
Off the air.
Yeah. Because it's a mentally challenged person. You're not like it's not nice to do that, but it does. I do. But Ed Norton's not mentally challenged.
You do remember what I do for a living, right?
Yeah, we work with mentally challenged people. Yeah.
Here on the show too.
Yeah, apparently, yeah. So if there's a which song that you've written so far that maybe isn't released, if the ones that are released is your favorite so far?
I already know the answer for him anyway.
Yeah, I'll let Matt go first then.
Let's hear Matt's version first.
Ooh, that's a tough one. Out of the ones that are released, the one I have the most fun playing, anyways. Actually, one of two. I love playing "Light It Up" just because it's fast paced. It's kind of like all out, go crazy.
Yeah.
I also love to play the song "Other Side" off our first EP, especially live now because we've changed up a part of it in the bridge to make it more extravagant, if you will, a little more active. Yeah, I don't know, but there's a lot of good stuff too that's coming, but I don't know if I should go too into detail about that. But still, to play, those two are probably my favorite. I don't know which one is my favorite overall in terms of each song has something special about it or a memory attributed to it or something like that. So it's tough to choose.
Yeah, I'd say so. Yeah, if we're gonna do what was released so far, I know "Beautiful Day" like doesn't get a lot of love within the band overall. Like I feel like there's so many times when we made set lists and we had to like shorten it. They're always like, maybe we'll cut "Beautiful Day," but then even him, who was like not the biggest fan, even he's like, nah. A lot of people tend to like that one. We're gonna play that one still.
Yeah.
So that one was fun just because that was the first song we did together. Like that was the first time Matt got to go to a studio to record drums, and like it was the first time us three, because at the time we were three people still. That was the first time we all were in a room together and just worked on it. And it's really, that was more of like a memory that made it really fun. In terms of like just on the first EP, besides that, "Light It Up" is fun. It's hell on my vocals live, but it's fun anyway. And "Other Side" is really, really fun too, just because like you said, the kind of bridge gets really, really cool. And it's our last song, and it's the one we get the most hype from afterwards. Like people usually after the show come like, whatever that song is that starts with the bass is so fucking cool, and like they're usually like freaking out about it. And like it's such a simple song because that's usually what we do.
It's the head bobber.
It's the head bobber. Yeah, it's one of those songs where it just plays and you're just like, oh shit, hey.
Yeah.
It's got a Rammstein kind of like 4/4 just
Yeah,
kicks,
I like that.
kicks there. It's
Yeah.
well, for that part it's simple, but it's something everybody can get into.
Yeah. But
sure.
Personal favorite, I'm going to drop the title just because I've said it like 1,000 times live already.
Here it
But
comes.
my favorite is one of the ones that we'll release probably later, earlier in the new year. But it's called "Hanging by a Thread."
Nice.
And that one also goes way back. That was like 2020 we first started demoing that one.
Yeah.
And it's really simple, just a very basic, clean guitar part that just follows. And it's in theory our like softest song, if you will, for like 30 seconds. And then it goes into like an explosive kind of like chorus and onwards kind of thing. Heavily, I would say this is probably our most like, even though it's not fast paced and like I don't go as hard on it as like "Light It Up," I'd say it's like emotionally heavy and also like instrumentally. It's like it's one of those where you get like the stank face of like oh shit like kind of thing going. And vocally, it's something I'm the most proud of. Lyrically and vocally, it's my proudest thing because. So like Jeff Buck is a huge inspiration, but like we were mentioning before, Big Wreck, like I love Thornley, and I love Chris Cornell. Like that's a super big influence of mine as well when it comes to writing songs and just singing. I learned so much from those guys. So this song is kind of like my ode to kind of Soundgarden and the guys like that, without being like a Blaine ripoff. Like I scream in it a lot. But it's not to the point where like, okay, so you listen to Soundgarden once and you're like, I can do this, and just go with it.
Tasteful scream.
Yeah, they're tasteful screams. Yeah, it's not like out of place. Like honestly, I'd say besides "Other Side," it's the one I've heard most people kind of compliment us on.
Yeah.
Just because
cool.
even though it's a slower song, it's just like most people lyrically are like, that's a really good song. Like you guys should be very proud of it. So, and it's also one of those songs that has an actual story to it in a way. Like lyrically, there's actually a plot, if you will. And it's actually in order and everything, just like it makes sense in the song. It's not one of those where it's like, okay, verse 1's about like this period in time and whatever, and verse 2 is, kind of reiterating on it. Like this one's very much like beginning to end, tells a story, and it's kind of like a tragic love story of sorts, which is basically all the songs I write now. But yeah. But I'm the most proud of it lyrically and also just vocally because I hated my voice when we first started the band, like to the point that when we would get mixes back, I really didn't want to hear them just because I hated hearing myself. Whereas now, I can't even shut up when I have the mic. But also, just like I was really proud. I remember after the studio when we were done that song, we sat and listened back to it, and I was just like,
Yeah.
damn, okay, this is good. Like, it was one of the first times I'd say I was actually like, yeah, I really want to show people this. Not that I never want to show anyone our other stuff, but it's like a mental barrier I have where it's like, I hate my voice, so probably everyone else is going to hate it too. This one I was like done, and I was like, nah, fuck it, this is a really good one. So I'm excited for people to hear that, especially recorded. It's sick. Live, it's already so much fun, but I can't wait to hear the recorded version.
Yeah. Well, you've heard the recorded version.
Oh, of course, I meant them.
You can't wait for people to hear
Yes.
the recorded version.
Yes, my bad.
The people.
People like us.
Yeah, I want to hear it.
Yeah. So when you guys, you're going to a venue, let's say I don't know a lot of venues in Montreal. Do you guys set your playlist for that venue, or you just have the same playlist at every venue?
Like you're talking about like before we go on and afterwards, kind of like when we're done, or you're talking about the
Yeah, like when you say, okay, say we're playing, I don't know, let's go with the Alma Combo, because I know that place.
Set list.
It's set list, your playlist. Okay, so we're going to start with this and we're going to end with this. Now, do you do that? Is it the same for every show, or would you tailor it for different venues?
Overall, it's generally, well, for the past little while anyways, because we've kind of like
Perfected it.
Yeah, we've figured out a way that to make the set list flow really well. We found the formula, I guess, for now. And the only way that we change it really is due to time constraints, let's say. So like if we're opening for a band and, okay, you can only play 35 minutes or 40 minutes, we might have to cut out a song here or there.
Yeah.
But aside from that, it's pretty much, or it's been the same thing for a little while now, but just because it flows well. But I wouldn't say we'd be against doing that, but
No.
but I don't know when we would try it, because kind of like figuring out what flows good ahead of time, I think has worked for us so far. So I don't see why we would steer away from that, but I guess I wouldn't say we're closed off from trying other things.
Yeah. Like I'm sure, because like we're taking kind of a break from shows for a bit now to like really work on, releasing, if anything, and shooting content and stuff like that. Plus it's winter, people tend to go out less anyway, unfortunately. So we're really just taking the time to really hone in on what's going on and what's going to be coming, kind of thing. So it's possible at the time we do like, release shows or like a tour that we're going to have a new version of the set that will more or less be the same idea, but like we might move stuff around because, okay, you know what, let's put this and emphasize this a bit more. But mostly it's like you were saying, like we'll cut stuff because of the kind of gig. So like we opened for Blue Rodeo this summer, and that one was like, it was a bit of a mess on the organizer's part, not Blue Rodeo, but like the people organizing that event. But so it was supposed to be like a 35 minute set that they gave us, but everything was running behind. So like everything was up in the air. So we already had our 30-minute set going. And then because I guess we were so amped up and nervous about it, we were playing super fast. So that's where the underground punk part came out. So
Yeah.
so we were playing super fast that our bassist Marco was like at one point, because we cut a song out because we're like, oh, the Blue Rodeo crowd, they're not going to like this song.
Yeah,
so we weren't supposed to play Light It Up, which is like our punk banger. So he's like, well, if we have time, we should play it. I'm like, nah, they're not going to like us. So we played the set as normal. And then like around halfway or 3/4 of the way, Mark was like, dude, we have so much time, like play it. And I was like, all right. So we just went for it.
Yeah.
And they ended up loving it. So that was really, really funny because it's like Blue Rodeo crowd is not our crowd at all in a way. And especially a song like Light It Up is super, super out there, but people appreciated it. And it was an extra like 3 minutes on our set list time. So we were perfectly fine to play it. But usually, honestly, if like we know we're playing a bit more like of an important gig, we'll kind of really make sure it's tight so we can play as much of our songs as possible. So, I'll ramble a bit less, or, breaks between songs. We'll try to make it in a way that, okay, if Zach has to tune up, I'll start the next one. So there's a nice flow and no one realizes that there's a pause anywhere. Even if there's water breaks, sometimes we'll like improvise elsewhere to make it work, kind of thing. So, yeah.
And you find that's like you're probably learning as you go too. So there's some ways that your tricks you're picking up on the way while you play live, so that you can actually fill that time, or to get the water breaks in and such, right?
Yeah, exactly. And like some of it's just an endurance kind of thing. Like you kind of learn after a while, like screw it, I know I need water, but I can probably tough it out for one more song. And I'm like we joke about it, like I'm a kind of a diva about it, but like I'll panic if I don't have gum when we do a show because sometimes my voice gets super dry from nerves. So I usually like to have gum because the songs that I need to scream for, like if I don't have gum, they'll be like super dry, or I'll like destroy my voice and not sing well for the rest of the set. And no one really notices because when you're in the crowd, you don't hear it the same way we hear it in our in-ears. So, but it's just me. It's like a nerves thing. So I started chewing gum, and it's helped a lot. But there's been times where like Matt's like, "You don't need the gum," and I was like, "I need the gum." Like to the point that like I'm asking people in the crowd, like, "Anyone got gum? Anyone got gum? Anyone?"
Yeah.
Don't tell me I don't need gum.
Yeah. So
No, it's good. Like, I mean, maybe it's also like you said, it's a comfort thing too, right? Like, having that. I was going to say that might be your ritual. I was going to say, do you have any rituals? And then you're like, oh, I have gum, but maybe does anybody?
We're kind of lame when it comes to that. Like, I know some bands do like shots before they go out, or like smoke and stuff like that. Us, we all do kind of our own thing, but mostly we'll just be together before we go out there, kind of thing. Vocal warm-ups is what I do, and most of the time they get neglected because I'm usually either running doors or everyone's talking to me, so I won't get a chance to really do them. Because the green rooms don't really exist where we play sometimes. So it's kind of what it is. So that's why I like to have the gum, is because I'm like, even if I didn't get a chance to warm up, the gum is going to kind of keep everything in place, and I'll be all right by the time I get out there.
Plus, if you're talking to people, you're probably getting a little bit of vocal in, right?
Yeah, exactly. Actually, so when I was taking vocal lessons, that's what my vocal teacher said. Like the best exercise you can do, really, like before a gig, if you're ever nervous that you didn't get to warm up, she's like, just talking to people, like, is really it. She's like, talk, and then like, don't be afraid to like mess with your range in a way. So like, kind of talk more from the nose, or talk more from your like stomach. And like, I've done it because especially when you're in public, there's so many people sometimes that you, even if you talk low, they don't hear you. So you like bring it up a bit, and you're talking like this. So it works well. I don't know, man. I was skeptical, but it's been doing it for me for the last, I'd say, 2 years since I started taking lessons. But besides that, no. The only other thing I'd say is I get tea. I tend to buy tea the day of a show, just in case.
Yeah, everybody's
That's
different.
good.
I'll usually half the time I forget my practice pad, so that's not good. But warm up the hands a little bit and then just pop on stage. We're sometimes running around to find him. I guess he's doing whatever he's doing before the show.
Yeah.
Marco's quiet, but he's always there.
He's usually there.
Quiet but reliable.
Yeah.
There's no like gather around the fire and say a prayer
We usually joke around. Actually, I'd say one of our things is we tend to like try to ease anything before going out there. Like I remember El Macambo, we were all kind of a bit nervous, and all the pictures you see behind the scenes and like even some videos some people have taken of us, it's just us laughing and like joking before going out there, which was nice. Because I feel like if we were like, this is a really serious gig, we can't fuck this up, like that would have ruined everything by the time we hit the stage. But instead it was very much more of like a, oh well, we're here, let's do it. I just like making jokes and like teasing each other before hitting the stage, and that's kind of an ongoing thing too, is we tend to tease each other. So like Matt's a pretty easy target. I adore this kid, he's my favorite, but like it's just he's within our group, and like people who know us like know Matt is just like, it's so easy to kind of pick on him. So sometimes we'll make jokes live and he hates them, but I have the mic, so
That's right. Yeah, exactly. Well, but then he's got the final say, because he's got to keep the timing and rhythm behind you, right? So
yeah.
I was going to ask, how do you manage your musical integrity while like you're trying to, be a success? Is there something that sort of keeps you grounded?
Do you want to take that one?
Cool.
That's a really good question, by the way. You guys have been like really doing great on these questions. I honestly like, I'm really enjoying this, so I just want to say thank you.
Good. Well, we appreciate that. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem.
You're just avoiding the question, though. So.
Oh, for sure. I'm
just kidding. I'm teasing, man. I'm teasing. No, not that serious.
What do you mean exactly by that?
Well, like, what do you like when you're trying to create like a certain type of, like when you're out and when you're laughing together, but with how do you keep your musical integrity with the people that you're playing with, or you're opening for, or the people that are behind the scenes, or how do you maintain it all without, like maybe getting an ego?
Oh, I mean,
I guess like with whoever we're playing with, we try to be nice. Most people are nice.
Yeah, I can count like on like one hand like the couple of people that have been kind of douches with us, but for the most part,
like we've been on the receiving end of like a crappy, like in terms of a band that has a crappy attitude. So we just, nobody, like, we try not to take things too seriously. but at the same time, like we know what we're capable of doing, so we don't have to. We're not there to necessarily like try to prove something. Like that just gets done by us just going out and playing what we know how to play. So outside of that, we can just kind of be who we are, and we don't have to worry. Everything else, I think, just gets taken care of. I don't know.
Yeah.
How to put it really.
I would say like for me, it's nice because like it's so easy to kind of, not that like I've ever had like a super big ego from like anything that's happened to us over the years. Like when we had a lot of streams on like Backseat Bingo, it was cool, but it wasn't to the point that I was like freaking out or like everyone was like, oh, you've changed, anything like that. It was just very much like, holy shit, this is really cool. Anyways, like that was about it because like I have this issue, which I discussed with my therapist, but like I have this issue where I see way too far into the future and kind of like don't get to enjoy the present as much. So like while Backseat was having success, I'm already like, okay, but what now? Like what's going to happen after that? It's all going to come crashing down. I'm like, oh my God. So that's kind of what happens to me. So like it's very easy to keep myself humble because I just humble myself really easily.
Yeah, you're
like,
hard enough on yourself. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. But besides that, I'd say just our support systems, like our families are super great. Like they're at every show usually, and like no matter where we play, like they'll come and drive there, and it's really really nice that we have that.
Yeah, we're lucky enough to have a good foundation.
Yeah.
In kind of like all aspects.
Yeah.
I'll even like going to the studio and everything. We have the guy that we can rely on there.
Yeah.
So from the start, when we're laying down the foundation of what's going to be our music, we're comfortable, and so we've got that. We don't have to be. Again, we don't have to like prove anything to anybody there. We can just go in, have fun, and that produces the best results. And we know that we have people that we can rely on, like you're saying, at live shows. We've always got that base there supporting us. One big one, my girlfriend, but anyway, Kate.
Yeah.
My girlfriend Kate, she's been there since I started dating her. She's been there at every show.
Yeah, she flew to see us once, which was great.
She flew to Toronto to see us after work. And
Wow.
she's been very, I guess, dedicated, and she's always there filming, getting content. All of the compilations and everything online are from her. So
When you get in the ring, when's the ring gonna show up, bro?
Oh man,
We'll see.
really?
Dude. Nobody flies out, just so you know.
Yeah, that was Anyway, it happened.
I didn't mean to pile on.
Yeah, you
No,
did.
dude, don't worry about it.
Well, it was
Yeah,
right there.
you did.
How is that bad?
I should ask you why you haven't married Megan yet.
She didn't want to.
No.
We've only been together for 12 years on a house.
Yeah, maybe it's the 13th year. You need.
Touche.
So I think, in my opinion, I think you guys are doing all right because anybody that opens for Blue Rodeo is on the right path for sure. Even though I'm kind of trying to picture the difference in the musical styles, but it's pretty
Slightly
cool.
different.
A little bit.
Yeah, slightly different. But
Very cool.
But I mean, it's interesting. Like you said, like you're going to play your best, your hardest song, like you said, like your kind of get up and go song. Although they're all kind of like that, but they're that one in particular, and you're like they loved it, right? So you just don't know. I think it's a nice position to be in where you're kind of feeling out a different band and like maybe with different kind of people that are there. I would suspect that the room was pretty full too for a Blue Rodeo show. So you probably played to a lot of people, no?
Yeah, it was a field, like it was an outdoor one. So unfortunately, the weather kind of messed with it a bit. But like, despite the rain and stuff, there was still a good amount of people that showed up. But we had a great time, and people were pretty receptive to us.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and I would say like just to go back on the kind of thing of like keeping yourself grounded in a way. I think some bands we've played with have been kind of shocked by that. So like earlier, a few months ago, we played a festival in our area called Artifact, and we played with two bands that I really like, at least.
Yeah, that was fun.
Yeah, No Bro and Leigh Shirley.
No Bro is awesome.
Yeah, so I was freaking out when I found out we were playing the same day as them because like we love Foos, and we went to see like the Foo Fighters in Montreal.
In Verdun.
In Verdun. And Leigh Shirley opened up for them, so it was cool to like, I don't know, to us it was pretty cool to get to open for someone who's been that close to kind of a band we look up to, but also to us they're like such a big deal in our area kind of thing. Like there's like a couple of bands in Montreal that are like seen as like a really big deal, and they're one of them. And then No Bro's another band that like I've seen like twice. And so to me it was really, really cool that I was like, holy crap, like these people opened up for Blink 182 when I saw them, and they opened up for Rise Against and Billy Talent when I saw them. So it was really,
I saw them in Ottawa.
Yeah. So that's it. So when I got to see them, it was really, really dope. And I remember when we spoke to them after the show, they're like, "Hey, great set." I was like, "Yeah, amazing set." And then, like, I low key fangirl. I was like, "It was an honor to get to play with you guys." And like, Catherine, the lead singer, was like, "Oh, geez, an honor. Okay." And I was like, to me, like, I just saw you guys a couple months ago, like, open up for a band that I like just as much as you guys. Like, so it's wild to me to get to be here, kind of thing. Like, it wasn't really like brown nosing. It was more just like I couldn't believe it. So like. Stuff like that, where like some people would be like, "Oh yeah, I see I'm playing with a bigger band. It's happening for us." Like for me, it was more like, "Holy crap! Like this is amazing. I can't believe this is happening." And like I'm gonna enjoy this entire moment and write about it so I can remember it forever, kind of thing.
That's great. I love that.
Thanks, man.
Yeah, it's very cool. Nova was fun. Like they were surprised. I didn't think when I saw Billy Talent Rise Against, they came out and it was like, "Oh, this is pretty cool."
Yeah.
So they were a lot of fun.
You're always at the event. You like when you're at the event, you watch all of the bands, like even the
it's pretty well, and they're an all-girl band too, an all-girl punk band, right?
Yeah, no, I know who they are. They're awesome.
So that was I was like, "Oh, this," and I was with Greener. We're both like, "Oh, this is pretty cool."
Yeah.
So that was a lot of fun.
What's your favorite song by any other artist of all time, and why?
That's so hard.
Yeah.
Welcome to the Dawg and Gus show.
Geez,
I'm just kidding. Do what you can. Do what you can. Something that comes to mind right away.
I'll do like 3 bands, I think, because I can't name just one. Like, so one of my favorite songs, which you know this already because we've been to the same show together, is by Foo Fighters, and it's called Aurora. And I have it tattooed on me because it's been like my favorite song since like 2012.
Nice.
So that's up there for me, one of my favorite songs. And then
Here, I'll go. Since
we'll go back and forth.
Foo
Yeah,
Fighters.
I know which one this is.
Oh yeah, for sure. They don't play it often, or they haven't played it in a while. But Let It Die. It's
Bang.
one of
good
their,
track.
I guess, lesser known songs, but it's just so good. It's so good. The way it progresses from slow to fast, and it's just kind of like a gradual like
Build up.
explosion, build up to an explosion, I should say.
Yeah.
It's really good.
Yeah, that's
For
me. Foo Fighters All Stick Around is my favorite. It's from the original.
Underrated song. That does not get enough love.
Yeah, it was like a thing where, like, it came out in like '95. I think I was 15. So there you go.
Yeah, wow.
Oh, In Your Honor.
Yeah, if we're going on the topic of Foos, In Your Honor, which is like the opening track from the same album of that name, insane, and like no one knows it. So that whole album has a lot of good deep cuts. But on
Very
the topic,
underrated.
Yeah, on the topic of like other favorite songs, I'm a huge Prince fan. So I'm not trying to get you to be like that's like Prince.
No, like I'm a huge Prince fan. Huge, massive.
My guy.
So please tell me. I love
it. So I grew up listening to Purple Rain when I was like 6 years old because my parents used to play it a lot, and I like watched the movie when I was a kid. And I was like, oh my god, I want to be a performer because like that was so cool to me. Like he's just insane. I don't know if I can name necessarily a song that's like my favorite, absolutely from that album. Like obviously Purple Rain is a great song, but
Let's Go Crazy is pretty good.
Let's Go Crazy is wild. Like that's such a good opener, and the ending is insane too. That album is full of like really
When
good
Doves Cry.
Yeah, When Doves Cry, which like is low key my tattoo of Prince. It's like a dove crying, and it has his silhouette in it.
Oh, cool.
Baby,
I'm a Star. Baby, I'm a Star. That's a
Star is sick. It is so fun, that song.
Yeah, that's a good album, man. That's crazy. I was young too. I was like really young when that came out, and I remember that was an album that resonated because I was just a kid, and then Thriller was like the two. Like I remember just those two albums when I was a kid that I would just remember playing over and over and over again. But I was not like 5 years old. I was crushing it.
So you're born in 1980 is what you're telling me.
Correct.
Hey, look at that math
skills. Nice.
I'm
well
not sure
done.
it's gonna show well, but you could see like my Prince tattoo.
Oh yeah, it's awesome. Love it.
I got the Foos run right next to it with the hawk for Taylor as well. So
that's so cool. Yeah, Dawg has a ton of. He's tatted right up. I don't have any.
Is
So.
Johnny Cash one?
Yep.
Hey,
nice.
He's got that whole arm is music actually.
It's actually album covers.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, that's dope. Because same thing with me. My right arm is actually music related tattoos, and then my left arm is more personal stuff.
Yeah, same here.
Look at that.
Oh, very cool.
Yeah,
Nice.
guys. And I like Prince too.
Yeah, you mentioned that he's your favorite guitarist.
Yes, I did.
Yeah, He's your favorite guitarist all time, he said.
Who's your favorite guitarist? We got our end lagged. We didn't get to hear the answer.
Oh, Prince.
Oh, dude, Prince is an underrated guitarist.
Yeah,
Easily.
well, there's a live version of
While My Guitar
While My
Gently
Guitar
We
Gently
were
Weeps.
going with that. That's my
Yeah.
favorite story. Is the While My Guitar Gently Weeps story. Oh,
They ask Eric Clapton, what's it like being the greatest guitarist of all time? He says, I don't know, ask Prince. So that tells you enough right there. That's Eric
Well,
Clapton's
just
pretty
the
good.
video when they're watching him, right? He starts going and all this, and you got these like mega talents on the stage with him. Like you got like
Tom Petty.
Was it Harrison or was it his son?
George Harrison was there.
Yeah, and they're all just kind of going.
Eric Clapton.
Yeah, we're
I
just
think
gonna-
Mark Knopfler. Like the
Yeah,
like
Mark
some of the-
Knopfler. Well, so we're just going to stand back and watch this guy go.
Yeah.
You
Some
know,
sick
it was just stupid
stuff.
sick.
Unreal.
yeah, and it was dope too because you see like at one point they extend the solo, but it's because Prince like kind of eyes Tom and he's like, can I go for another?
Can he
Tom,
going?
Go for it.
Yeah.
And then they just run it again, and they're all laughing.
Yeah.
They're like, what an ass! Like he's so good.
I know. Yeah, he's just and he played every instrument on his albums too. So that's impressive.
Songs you want to add to that?
Yeah. Sorry, we went off.
It's okay.
Any drum songs that you want to get into?
Yeah, come on, Matt. You got Gojira. You got Slipknot.
Slipknot.
Yeah, I'm a
They're
big
fucking unreal.
metal guy.
Did you see Rammstein in the summer?
I did.
So we didn't see you, but there's only another 80,000 people there. But that was literally the craziest show I've ever seen. Like,
that was amazing. It was
yeah,
amazing.
like walking in, I was. I'll go off. I'll let you answer the question eventually. But the walking in, like, and you seeing that stage, that's literally like 4 or 5 story, maybe taller, like 10 stories high.
Like that's a tower.
It's unreal. It was unbelievable.
Yeah.
But we were talking to a guy who he came on the show, Rockin' Engine's bassist, and he does all these he's a stagehand as well. And he said that takes 7 days to build every time they go somewhere. And I was like, that's fucked.
It's crazy. I remember seeing a post like a week before, or 5 days before, and it's like Rammstein's starting to build the stage, and you can see like 30 trucks like unloading. It's ridiculous. It's like a whole, I don't know.
It's like building a city.
The logistics behind that it must be so complicated and tricky to put.
Well,
together.
even the flames all the way out. Like we were far enough away. Like I can go right in there. That would have been wild. But we were far enough away that we were like, shit, man, I can still feel the heat. You know, like it's crazy.
Yeah. I was back kind of up on the hill a bit, and I could feel it like it was like right in front of me. It was crazy.
Yeah,
it's crazy. But okay, in terms of drumming songs, so like I said, I'm a big metal guy, so I grew up on like Slipknot, Gojira, bands like that. And probably one of my favorite drummers, if not my favorite drummer, is Mario Duplantier from Gojira. Mm-hmm. And there's one song called The Art of Dying. It just has this drum part that's, I don't know, it's so complicated but fits so well, and is just like, it's one thing to play it, but it's another thing to come up with it and write that drum beat. It's good. It's really good, and they're quite good live too. I don't know if you guys have ever seen them live, but
I haven't, but I'd love
highly
to.
recommend
I'm a metal guy that you wouldn't know it, but I am. I like everything, but that's definitely I was a big metal guy when I was younger, like in the 90s.
Yeah.
Yeah, I took you to the Rammstein show. You weren't expecting that.
Okay.
Well, you weren't. I mean, nobody was.
You're right. You look like an accountant.
No, but what I mean is, like, you at the Rammstein show, you didn't know that was what we were walking into.
you're not expecting one guy to shoot flames at another guy on stage.
Well, no, just you wouldn't think like I what I'm saying is if I was surprised to see it, I would suspect somebody who wasn't as into Rammstein to, you know what I'm saying?
No, I don't.
He thinks I'm being hard on him, but I'm actually just having a discussion with you. Come on, bro.
I'm just trying to figure out the part where
You didn't expect it.
didn't expect what?
The show that we saw for Rammstein.
All right. You're right, I didn't. It was totally unexpected.
Fucking guy. Sorry, guys.
Just messing with it. I'm just messing.
Yeah, jeez.
You do it to me all the time.
It's true.
Yeah.
Quick question.
What do you think is what's the most, what were you saying? Sorry?
I was gonna say, Dawg, did you mention any of your favorite songs? I'm just
No, he
curious.
hasn't.
No,
Yeah.
I don't have any.
You've got many.
I got lots.
He's a country guy.
Careful.
Yeah.
What we like talking. I can't pull out a favorite song of all time. I just can't do that.
Okay, we'll do 2.
Even 2.
What's in your head right now?
Nothing. Okay. So
Like a big pause to go through nothing.
yeah,
All right, like here we are.
it just popped. Child's Garden by April Wine just popped into my head.
Oh,
Hey, nice. I'm like decent friends with, I'm really good friends with Brian Greenway, the guitarist of April Wine, actually.
I know who he is.
Yeah, he's an absolute sweetheart.
Yeah, so I've heard. I met Jerry Mercer once. Talked with him for about 45 minutes. He's like the nicest man in the world.
nice.
Yeah.
There you go. So
Yeah, so there's one, and then I guess the one that's tattooed on my hand would probably be the other one.
what is it?
Every storm runs out of rain.
They wouldn't see your hand. That's
Yeah.
why we gotta.
It's a country song, but it's just like
They really touched a nerve here, didn't we?
I know you did.
Yeah.
It's a country song. It's just the lyrics that kind of, it's just like basically it's going to be fine. Everything's going to be fine because every storm runs out of rain.
I like that a lot.
Yeah. So it's a pretty good message in that song. I really like that song.
I
a
like
lot.
that you have that tattooed on your hand.
Yeah, it's pretty cool, right? I just thought, well, I could have done a couple other songs of his. He's amazing.
Yeah.
So a guy named Gary Allen. Anyway.
That's the question.
Nice.
Do it. Let's do
Okay,
it. It's
guys,
time.
every show since we started this podcast, we asked this question.
Oh.
And so you have to choose between the 80s or the 90s.
Oh,
And you can't choose the 50s, the 60s, the 70s. It's got to be either 80s or 90s.
They were already answering.
I think that's stupid
That's an
easy.
easy
Are
one.
we gonna guess
I
the same
think
thing?
we're gonna guess the
On
same
3?
decade. Okay,
1, 2, 3.
90s, 100%.
Okay, just let me just stop this here.
Yeah. Well, it's their age.
I'm just teasing. Did I go 0 for tonight?
No, Bob got you for once. Yeah.
I'm asking
But
about,
otherwise, everybody said 90s. We've done a couple podcasts today, so like but we always ask the same question, and the reason being is I'm a 90s and he's 80s, and there's like that rivalry, So, why the 90s? Why would you say the 90s?
Well, there's a very cool sound that
Yeah.
emerged from the 90s, like grunge and all of that. And I think we take a lot of influence from certain aspects of that, especially Brandon.
Yeah, easily. My influences are all 90s based, even if they were like necessarily like kind of around early 80s or like they might have been around the 80s, but I don't know. I find I keep going back to the 90s
Wasn't
all the
that
time.
Jeff Buckley album in the 90s?
Yeah, it was 90s. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It was 94. But still, like, I always go back to the 90s for so many of my favorite songs are 90s. I still like 80s. Like, I'm a huge Springsteen fan, and like, he's 70s and 80s, and like, I love that. But like, the thing about the 80s, I think what ruined it for me, and I get a lot of flack for this, is like, I really hate like the hair metal kind of shit. And I know it's fun and it's all like fun and games, and like some people really like vibe with it. I just can't, because like, I don't know, I think it's because I know some of the mentality and like just the habits of the 80s really bothered me. And I felt like a lot of people were in the industry for the wrong reasons, and it just was a life of excess in that time. So I guess maybe that's why I prefer the 90s. It was sadder in a way, but it was also a lot more, I don't know. I just find it kind of, there was so much different music in the 90s, I find.
Yeah.
The 80s, it was like, you had synth and all that stuff, but
there was a lot of different music in
yeah,
the 80s too.
of course.
I can't say there
Of
wasn't,
course.
but
No.
yeah.
But the 90s was wild.
Hey.
You had like a Brit resurgence, like there was freaking all these bands from England coming back again.
Yep.
You had
Oasis
grunge.
being one.
Oh,
Yeah.
like Oasis.
Yeah, exactly. You had grunge. You had like psych coming back in a way too, I found. So I don't know. It's wild. And
And the
I guess
hip
also
hop,
picked up
bro.
on, like,
The
90s
hip hop.
comedies. Yeah, hip hop. Oh, dude, hip hop in the 90s was great.
It's the best ever. Best ever.
Yeah.
There's nothing better than the 90s
No,
hip
in
hop.
my opinion, yeah, I would argue that too. And I'm not even that big of a hip hop guy, but like from what all my friends that are super deep into it have showed me, every time I'm like, this is fucking great. They're like, oh yeah, this is 90s hip hop, which
Oh,
you'll
yeah.
hear flack about because some guys are 80s hip hop guys. So
Yeah, but that 80 like listen, we know where the hip hop comes from, the 80s, and that's not a thing. It was perfected in the 90s.
Yeah.
Like there was like, when you have guys like Biggie and Tupac and Nas and Big L and these people that come out in the 90s, then you just blow your fucking mind. And even Eminem's from the 90s. So like, yeah, it's hard to knock the 90s, bro. The 80s are cool too. Hey, we talked about Purple Rain, we talked about things like that, but Yeah, it's the 90s, bro. It's the 90s.
Meh.
Yeah. Grunge era, baby. Gentlemen, so what's next for you guys? You're going to release an album? You're obviously taking a break from touring, but you're going to go out eventually again in the new year. Is there something in the hopper for you guys?
Yeah, currently we're kind of planning again, like our tour kind of cycle again, which, you got to plan well in advance. So we're in the midst of doing that. We are planning to drop stuff, it's probably all going to build up to an EP for now, just because that's just where it's going. I know we kind of put like a thing in where it's like, this is our last kind of EP. I think like if we do an EP, it's this one. After that, we're going to do an album and just make it like back to back. Just everything's good. Like no filler, just all good. Like some 41s out there, all killer, no filler. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
exactly.
that's right.
90s.
Exactly. Yeah. Poor guy.
Our next shows are going to be people who are over 50 years old. The hell with you guys.
Oh yeah. Well, we can't keep them up past 8 o'clock.
I'm struggling right now myself.
Well, thank you very much for your time, guys.
Thanks.
We look forward to following you and obviously seeing how the new songs come out, see the EP come out, and then if we come to Ottawa, let us know, and we'd love to come and check you out. I mean, we'll follow you, but yeah. Thanks for your time.
Cool. Thanks.
Yeah.
Thank you
So nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
We'll be in touch. Hey?
Yeah.
You gonna?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. If they come to Ottawa, I'll go see them. I don't like just because they picked the 90s.
Yeah. Well, that's all right. So
If I didn't go to any of the shows of guys who picked the 90s, I would never go to a show.
true that.
True story.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You can get them to stick around.